listening to the 14th Source for all geeky and nerdy news and discussion, which means that you're listening to a podcast.
For all intents and purposes.
I'm D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And we are your two overeducated, codependent nerd hosts, bringing you the things that we like to talk about, but filtered through inquisitive and critical lenses in the episode for Friday, June 6th, 2025. I almost said 2024, and that's a bad thing, because it is no longer that date. It is a very different date. We can't be sitting here talking about things that happened in the past. Anyway, Andrew, did you want to start the show by talking about anything?
In the past? No, so yes, I do. So I think I talked about how I've been watching Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, you brought it up briefly. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
So I watched The Walking Dead up to like season 8 or something, and I'm not stopping. I was like, oh, I know that Fear the Walking Dead has whatever crossover horse shit. Like, also, I just wanted to watch it because I like the idea of like, here is the zombie shit outbreak as it happens. Right. And one of the things was, one of the characters in the show who is in the first season, and I think he takes a little break in season 2, comes back in 3. And I think goes most of the way through the rest of the show based on what I saw on the internet, is the character of, oh my gosh, actually make sure I know the character's name, Daniel Salazar, who, when you first meet him in the show, he's basically a barber working in LA. Although there's like some but he's, there's something about that guy, right? But the reason I want to talk about him, as a character in the show, as an actor, is that he's portrayed by Ruben Blades,
right?
Who is just a person.
Predator 2's Ruben Blades,
right?
Or as I knew him as a child, Ruben Blades, because I was ignorant. Yeah.
Well, what's wild about it is that I was like, why do I know that name? Like when I saw it come up on the screen, I'm like, I know that name. And I realized that it's because he was mentioned by name in my Spanish textbook when I was in high school, like Spanish 2 as a freshman. There's a whole thing about like conversationals were like, oh, sí, quiero, ir al concert de Ruben Blades or whatever. Right? Like, it's this whole thing where it was like a prompt or a discussion about like people want to go see this guy, and the instructor is like, oh, he's really popular in Panama and in Central America, and it's just that kind of thing where like I would have forgotten it, but the name stuck in my head.
Hey, you can't forget
Ruben Blades.
Yes.
So the idea that like here I am 30 years later watching this show, and I'm like, why do I know this name? Like Ruben Blades, and probably actually when I saw it, I was like, Ruben Blades. Who's that?
That sounds like a fake name.
That's it. Yeah. So it's just this funny joke of like how some small thing from my past comes around the long way, and now here I am like, oh, this was the guy in the prompt in my Spanish textbook. That now here I am. I have context. If only, 14-year-old Andrew knew.
If only
that this guy was someone in a show you'd be watching, right? Like, yeah. Here's me time traveling back. Like, Andrew, don't worry. The prompt about Ruben Blades, you're gonna be totally on board with it. Like,
just
what?
Hold on.
Like, no, hold on, brother. He's gonna be in a show that you're gonna be watching. It's gonna be cool. And what? Yeah. That's what just happened.
Yeah.
I time traveled to tell myself to be excited.
Because the future is a place of harmony and cohesion amongst cultures.
It's like, is the future like Star Trek? Yes. Yes, it is, little Andrew.
Have you seen Mirror, Mirror?
Hey, don't worry. There'll be a Star Trek movie that shows you what the world is like.
The whales?
They give First Contact. Like,
right.
Anyway.
Oh my! I had no idea that Fear the Walking Dead went for 8 fucking seasons.
I know.
I still think of that as like the new Walking Dead show.
Right. Oh, and there are many more. But anyway,
That's incredible.
I want to make that joke because for me it was like this weird because again he's a very famous musician, singer, composer, actor, like all sorts of stuff. Apparently ran for president of Panama at some point.
As you do.
Like you do.
If you have the last name of Blades, of course you run for president.
Not even his
something.
last name.
Oh, it is a stage name?
Ruben Blades Bellido de Luna.
Wait. So Blades is one of his names.
It is his name, but that might be...
That's incredible.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
That's incredible. 8 seasons. That's wild.
What? And honestly, I actually will say of the cast of that show, he's like in my top 3 or 4 list. Right?
Nice.
Like he's great. Actually, it may be because the original Walking Dead's a little tired by season 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
This show is like, oh man, he's the guy. And I love the fact that like apparently he at least goes through a long run. So like, yeah,
right.
This guy. Yeah. Good time.
Speaking of like stuff you appreciated as a child and modernity clashing together, we like to regularly talk about another TV show called Doctor Who.
Yes.
And apparently it's a show you watched as a wee Andy.
Yes.
Oh, I did not like saying that.
Yeah, it does sound weird when you say it that way.
Yeah. And it is still going.
Yeah.
Albeit through some hoops were jumped through and hiccups were had, but like it is going on. And I guess we had another reboot technically last year with technically quote unquote season 1 of Doctor Who,
which I know you love. I like the idea of this show is like season 1, series 1, season 1, whatever. Like
it's all a nightmare. I guess the big thing it denotes is it is the first season that has the that acts as the marriage between BBC and Disney Plus.
What I suspect is the short marriage, but yeah,
which introduced Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor.
Yes,
and we knew as season 1 aired, they'd already filmed season 2, which, as we've already talked about in the show, has been airing. And we are here to talk about the show now that the season has concluded.
Right.
But let's talk about season 2. Coming into this conversation, we talked about it a bit. We focused on a specific episode a couple weeks ago.
Lucky Day.
Yeah.
Because that episode wrecked me hard. I guess that's the hard... Like, I don't know, like, ooh, yuck, fake news, hashtag Trump man.
Right. Oh no, I felt like this season felt like the team kind of getting its wheels under it a little bit and really doing some interesting novel things with the premise of Doctor Who, to the point of being entertaining as well as probing and, as we talked about with Lucky Day, disturbing.
Right.
It really seemed like we had a team that was like just like to me. That was kind of congealed and like they had a sort of a focused sort of path forward. And it was really cool to see them run through to the end of the season with that idea, especially with the introduction of the reintroduction of the Ronnie.
Right. So what I would actually say is it's probably appropriate to talk about the 2 seasons that they've done.
Yes. They are very intertwined.
And I've actually heard that like this was the deal with Disney, and whether that deal moves forward now, like that's what Disney paid for. And I've read that on the internet, which is never wrong, but it makes sense, right? Like Disney put some money down to get, 20 episodes.
Not even that.
18, maybe 20.
Something like that. Around there.
It was, I would say, like, I think as a run of the show, I do think it was like an interesting time. They did some really fun stuff. Not everything was a hit.
No.
But they're actually like episodes that I will say, like when I talk about Doctor Who, which I do, like I have a list of episodes that are like, here are cool episodes, like episodes I think people should watch. And honestly, there are episodes from the last 2 years that are on that list now for me. I want to say that because I actually think like the show continues to do what it does. I'm sorry. It's weird. It feels like I'm setting up but it sucked. No, I don't want to say that. And really the reason I think we should talk about the 2 years is because, and here's actually where we should now bookend with spoilers, gonna spoil. Pause for the spoilers.
Here be spoilers.
This was, in fact, Ncuti Gatwa's last season, right? His second and last. Which, based on the promotional content he made, ostensibly this was always his plan to only do 2.
Because he didn't want to beat his favorite Doctor, which was obviously Colin Baker. He's like, Colin did 2, I want to do 2.
can't let that guy. Yeah. Well, actually, you say that, but I would also point to an interview.
He did ask for the Ronnie, right?
He asked for the Ronnie, which is
holy shit! Did we just blow the lid off this thing?
Like this is a kid that grew. Actually, no. How old is he?
We don't want to know this answer, Andrew. We do not want to know this answer.
He's older than you think.
That's true.
32, so he's... Okay, he's a little bit young to be watching Colin Baker's Doctor.
He heard his dad talking about Colin Baker. No,
yeah, it's like, that's the reruns we had in Scotland,
Right. But no, you bring up a good, interesting point here. Is like, I don't think it was until I was like deep into the second half of this second season when I started realizing like, oh, this is all one song they're doing here, right? Where they really started bringing back concepts and characters, especially in the finale, I should say. There was a character where I'm like, they're talking about her like I should remember her. And I'm like, oh no, that character is from season 1. And that's just one of many sort of inferences and connections they make between these 2 seasons, how RTD and ostensibly Ncuti and the whole team were really working together to craft this story that comprises of 2 chapters, which is season 1 and season 2, which is a novel idea because they, especially with let's just say what I had in my head, the regeneration of the show in 2005, they kind of built off of what I'm going to call like the Buffy idea of here. Like each season is telling its own kind of overarching story while still maintaining some episodic aspects, with each episode being its own kind of beginning, middle, and end. And of course, Moffat blew the lid off of that and then broke it quite a bit. But generally, it was kind of operating off of that sort of previous structure of serialized television. This is an interesting idea. It's like, well, no, it's almost like acting like a limited series. It's like, here's 2 seasons where we're going to tell a story. I don't discount your argument that Disney paid for 2 seasons, right? But I am a bit surprised by not to jump ahead, but the cliffhanger ending where they're clearly leaning towards whatever happens next, which of course is kind of Doctor Who's whole MO. Right. I would imagine if Disney was like, we have a hard cutoff, that they might have put a more definitive ending at the end of this season, and just kind of pick up if BBC continues it with next year, that they could just do whatever they wanted from that point forward. It was interesting to see this approach of like a 2-season long story. It was novel, and that's something it was cool to see in Doctor Who. It actually felt fresh and new, aside from being a new Doctor and lots more money and RTD coming back to do something new with the whole show. He kind of started from scratch, ostensibly.
Well, and to be clear for anyone that thinks that, like, I'm not here to debate internet people, but
what?
But the idea that like this did feel like there was a 2-year, like there was a plan, and we know that RTD plans. He's apparently planned some stupid shit. I always joke about how, when Billy Piper left after season 2 of the new series in 2006. He had this idea that she would come back, but he then apparently he told her to like actually act like you're not coming back. You're so butthurt about the show or whatever. Yeah. And then when she came back, it was like a big, oh my God, Billy Piper's back. Right. Honestly. Yeah. The show, like in the first episode they had Anita Watson. Is that her name?
Her husband is Brian May of Queen.
Right.
Anita Dobson,
Anita Dobson, right? Like they had her basically in the first episode throwing weird meta shit at the viewer. So like clearly they knew from the get-go that here's this thing, she's going to be important. And then they delivered on, yes, she is. She's in fact Actually, I will give RTD credit. He always says that whenever a woman shows up who seems to know too much, people are like, is it the Ronnie? And it's like, well, yeah, it is. Right. Again, assuming this is what they planned, which it feels like.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a solid, 20 episode piece. Almost not a miniseries, but like
a limited series kind of thing, yeah. Kind of like Andor, right? Like, I mean, not as in depth and maybe as cohesive as Andor,
or as much a downer, right?
right. But same kind of principle, yeah.
Yeah.
How well do you think that fit into the framework of Doctor Who? Do you think it still benefited the show? What kind of stood out to you about this approach of storytelling that is rather new to this premise in this show overall?
Honestly, if I were to say, like, here's my complaint about Doctor Who for the last 2 years, it did feel short and or rushed.
Yeah.
Like the idea that you have these characters, you have these whatever, and here we are now, it's done. And oh shit, it felt like we didn't spend enough time with all of it. Right, with whatever the whole of it is, because I think that's actually something that when they started the show in 2005, the reboot or the re-continue, it felt like there was still this, like, we have a theme and stories and ongoing narrative, but also there was just time for, like, here's an episode where it's just breathing, right? Like we're just telling a random Doctor Who story. And while they certainly had this in the current era, it felt a lot less. It felt like everything was about the next thing, right? Like everything was about, whatever, like the next, even the episode that doesn't feel like it's about it is about it.
That's something I really wanted to touch on. Because if I said that the rebooted show in 2005 felt like it was picking up kind of what American television was putting down with sort of the season-long arc, but episodic storytelling still, kind of, like I said, the Buffy Angel kind of idea, this definitely feels like Doctor Who crafted in the MCU era, in that, like, each episode is building, each episode is about what comes next. I think that's what adds to its rushed feeling, which is exactly what I felt. I'm glad you said that, because it's like, it felt like they were just trying to get to the next thing in a lot of ways, which compromised what they were doing in the moment. And I think the biggest compromise that occurred because of that kind of storytelling, not a good or bad thing. Like, I don't begrudge their choices. I'm glad they did something new for the show with this approach. But I think the one thing I kept wondering about or thinking about, especially by the end of season 2 for no specific reason, we'll talk about that when we get there, is that even by the end of the first season, I was like, I don't feel like I know or got to spend enough time with Ncuti's Doctor. Like, I want to know more about that character and, like, what's I want to see them or see him just be more, but it's such a reactive Doctor. It's a Doctor that is just dealing with shit, that we don't get a lot of moments of character development, I guess. But I'm also a character guy, so I just figured, well, that's just Dan being Dan. Shut the fuck up and just enjoy the show. But that's the one thing I really kind of, especially with the abbreviated seasons as well, with 9 and 8, I wanted more time with his Doctor, because he's such a great actor and I loved the vibe he brought, but he was just so busy working that I wanted just some downtime. And actually, we got that one episode this season, The Story in the Engine, which I think is kind of the closest we got to doing that, which is this where he's trapped in a interstellar barbershop on the back of a spider.
Right.
And he just has to talk to people and be vulnerable while also trying to solve the problem. And which made that episode one of the highlights of not only the season, but the entire run.
I loved Lucky Day because I'm good at feeling sad. And again, I will say that this era, like these 2 seasons, have episodes that I do think were like, wow, that was a banger,
yeah.
Right? I will say Lucky Day. I would say the Story in the Engine. Also, actually, I'll say, was it 74 yards?
That was a good one. Yeah, the Dr. Lark episode. Yeah,
that was a weird one, but like it was there's a lot they did that like, oh, this is like a solid episode.
The Interstellar Song Contest took me off guard. I was expecting to write that off, but it was pretty engaging. I thought that was pretty good.
And actually, like we joke about Colin Baker, but that poor man, had like maybe one story that probably really hit. Yeah. Until like literally his best work was after he was fired. Some of the audios and shit. Like he actually has done great stuff, but not while doing it.
Was his best work The Two Doctors?
That's actually what I remember. Yes. Actually, I guess Trial of the Time Lord has some interesting things.
That's true.
But also it has some exhaustion too.
I'm also super apologetic to Doctor Who. Like I'm the kind of guy that's like, I see what you're going for, and I like that. And I'm very forgiving when it comes to shit like that, just because I love Doctor Who so much.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to be like, for me, a fan of the show, and like I was liking what they were doing.
Yeah,
I actually think Ncuti Gatwa is look, there's no Doctor I would say the only Doctor I really dislike is the first.
No.
Hartnell's replacement. His second replacement. What's his name? The guy in the
in the story, Space and Time Journey, Tale of Space and Time. What that 50th anniversary movie?
Oh, he played he played him there. I thought that he was fine, but like that character, the first Doctor, as he was portrayed originally, I actually find exhausting. Not a fan. In fact, if I started watching that show, I'd be like, ooh, cancel it.
David Bradley. Well, that's the thing. A lot of people talk about that first Doctor, and they talk about him more in terms of the companions, like Barbara and Ian, right? Were actually the draws there, especially once they literally abandoned Susan. But we'll talk about that a different day. I agree. Like I like all the Doctors, and I feel like they seem to have a good hand on casting people to be the Doctor. Does the writing hold up? And that's the thing. I think they were, like you were saying, I think we got some really good stories with Ncuti. I just wanted more, Not for any particular reason. Yes, okay. Yeah, you already said this, right? Yeah, these are his only two seasons, which makes it more of a shame in hindsight because it's like, oh, okay. I wish I'd kind of known so I could appreciate the stories we got a little bit more.
I mean, look, I am actually really curious if Big Finish announces, hey, we're doing a 15th Doctor, whatever the fuck. Actually, I don't even know how to count them anymore. If they're doing his run, number? Like if they're going to do like his 6-part thing, actually, I will buy it and listen to it because I'm excited to hear him. Because he brought something to the part that, and I think all of them, every person who plays the Doctor brings something to it that's different. I think it does. Now, I will say, Christopher Eccleston is another example of someone who brought something to it, and then he got fed up and left. So actually, I've not listened to his shit on Big Finish because he's doing it now. He's like back in the fold. I should actually, given that I'm like literally saying I would listen to these former Doctors do their shit. Yeah, I would, and I want to because I really. It does feel like a character in stories that kind of, go on forever.
Right.
Right. And look, there's no real canon. There's no one, we're not here to be like, well, actually, in episode 7, the Doctor said he had 3 hearts. Like, no, man, at this point, no one gives a shit. Because the original series didn't give a shit about canon. Why do you?
Yeah. You actually bring up something, by bringing up Christopher Eccleston, you bring up an interesting topic that my wife and I were talking about while watching this season, especially once the season ended, which is, I'm sad to see Ncuti go, but if we think of these first 2 seasons as a lot of people, because it aired on Disney Plus, and so it's the first time a lot of people are going to be watching Doctor Who, if you think of it as like, oh, this is the first Doctor, getting 2 seasons and moving on is probably a smart move to keep people invested with the show. That's one of the things although it was just a consequence of circumstance with Chris Eccleston leaving after one series, right?
Right.
What a better way to set up people for the premise of the show, especially people that hadn't watched Classic Who, of like, oh, this character changes on the regular. And to have him change into David Tennant, which became another fan favorite, as we all know, at the end of series 1, I think it was a brilliant move and actually kept the show going maybe even longer than would have had he not regenerated at the end of series 1. And so there's part of me that's kind of like, oh, looking at it from that angle, like, let's get everybody to be, all the new fans to have Ncuti be their first Doctor, but then pull that Band-Aid off as quickly as possible so that they can go like, oh, this show is changing and I'm mad about it, but hey, the next Doctor, well, we could talk about this when we get there, is also cool too, in a different but also interesting way. Because that's what Doctor Who is all about. Doctor Who is about the regeneration in a lot of ways. At least that's what it's become.
Right.
And to introduce that idea as early as possible, I think is probably not a bad idea. I mean, it's still sad, but
yeah, it is. And again, I do hope that at some point he is comfortable either coming back and doing, actually, no. Now I'm gonna pivot. Jodie Whittaker, did appear in the finale.
That's true.
And
she finally got a good scene. Just joking. Her first season is one of my favorites. I think it's a fantastic series, and then everything that came out from like, what's happening? but yeah, to see her show up in the finale was awesome.
Right, and so like having her show up in this kind of like, hey, a previous Doctor shows up to help out the current Doctor, which I will say, her final episode, she had that happen with like all the old guys showed up.
Oh, right.
I actually really, I mean, I like to think that there's like 15 of them and, or 16 or 17, whatever. Right.
However many,
and they're like in this like cool club. Now, a lot of them are dead now, but,
true.
Or at least actually only 3 of them. Or 4
1,
if you
2, 3.
Count number 1, 2.
John Hurt.
No, oh wait, you're right, John Hurt.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of
so it's 15 numbered, 2
William
unnumbered.
Hurdnall or whatever, the guy that played the first Doctor in the 5 Doctors. He's also dead. But also
David Bradley's still with us.
Yeah, David Bradley's still around. So either way, like it's this cool club, and like for them to be like, hey, I'll show up in your thing. Like I want that to be a thing.
More of that, rather than having just being like a special episode like they used to do. Like have them fucking pop in all that. This is time travel show for fuck's sake. Like be ridiculous about it. Why not?
Jam fucking Colin Baker into that old costume.
Pour him into that old costume, and we'll see how it goes.
Actually, and sorry, just I really want to acknowledge. I think a lot about at the end of season 1, Mel seeing the 7th Doctor's like costume hanging in the remembered TARDIS and being like, oh my gosh, this is actually
you want me to cry.
No, I actually thought about this. Really what Ncuti's era was, we joked about how the 14th Doctor was the Donna Noble redemption tour.
Right.
This was the Melanie Bush redemption tour. More so season 1. But definitely.
What are you talking about? Season 2, she got to finally talk back to the fucking Ronnie.
Oh, that's true. But like, she had a lot more time, I think, doing stuff in season 1. But yeah, like this idea that we took a character that had her very awkward run back then. Yeah. And now putting it forward is here's this character like
who's capable and respected,
literally made the joke of like, oh, she's actually a computer scientist. Like, oh, she is? Yeah, that was part of the character script, right?
I love in the finale how she actually showed up in the sort of final showdown with her hair suddenly permed too, echoing her character back in the 80s. In her moped drive from the house to the unit headquarters, all of a sudden her hair got curly and it was incredible. I love Mel. I hope hope she sticks around.
Well, I'm okay with her having her, like, honestly, it's like, oh wait, who's next? like who are you gonna bring back next, right?
Hey man, I was hoping in that scene where they're all kind of just talking to each other, that the finale is kind of a wobbly episode, I would say generally, but there's like a 10-minute scene where they're all just villains and heroes are just talking in the bridge of the unit headquarters. I'm like, what are we doing here? I was hoping that like busting through the window out of nowhere fucking comes Ace with her fucking baseball bat, just whacks the Ronnie in the back of the fucking head, but we didn't get that. We got an interesting callback to like sort of the the Eric Sayward era of Doctor Who with the final showdown of the Doctor and Omega being solved by him just shooting a gun at it. It's a lot of inside baseball today, dear listeners. I'm sorry.
Actually, when I was sorry. I was going to make another joke, but you threw me with that. I was actually going to say, and there was a shocking reference to the Cartmel master plan where they reveal that Time Lords are infertile.
Yeah,
which was literally part of that plan.
Honestly, this felt like this 2-season arc felt like the first season that RTD wanted to do back in 2005. But he's like, oh, people, it was after the wilderness years, as they're called. Or like, people don't remember Doctor Who. They don't know all the lore. Like, a lot of people were wondering in that first series, are they rebooting it? Or is this the next Doctor, right? And here he's like, fuck, he's coming in throwing off the jacket. He's like, let's do everything, motherfucker. And it was glorious, especially as a longtime fan. Shall we talk about... Well, there's two things I want to talk about here to kind of wrap things up here. I know you are on the internet.
Yes.
Because you are mentally broken. I was genuinely... This is the first time I was genuinely shocked by a regeneration. RTD did a pretty good job keeping this under wraps. Usually because usually it's a big news story about, oh, the new Doctor has been chosen, and there's a big like television event where they're revealed and they have an interview and go like, I love Doctor Who since I was a kid. And then like we eagerly await that regeneration episode. But like this was like a secret. And yeah, I'm sure there were internet people and leaks and stuff like that, but nothing that came across my desktop that was any official announcement that Ncuti was leaving until the episode aired. So that was my experience, generally speaking. You had heard rumblings about his exit?
Oh yeah, so because I'd spoken to someone who was talking about like, oh, how no one likes this season, whatever, and I'd gone down the internet holes. I went to Reddit.
Andrew, why do you hate yourself?
I don't know. But actually, one of the things was there was this whole thread, which I read, I think after the story in the engine, that was basically like, oh, there's a leaker who leaked stuff. And I will say that like most of the stuff I saw was in fact accurate. Like the return of Susan Foreman-ish, some of the other stuff. But also like the regeneration. And actually, I will say for anyone that wants to like suffer like I did, it was the whole thing of like, oh no, the Doctor's regenerating. They'd actually already filmed the regeneration sequence when they filmed the show, like a year ago. But it was originally going to be open-ended.
Oh, interesting.
Where it would just be like he starts doing the thing and then credits. Where
speaking to what I was kind of talking about earlier, how like Disney maybe only paid for 2 and like they could have just written it as an ending rather than like, here's the next Doctor, come back next year kind of thing.
Where then at some point, in fact, I've what I read on the internet, which is always accurate, is that earlier this year they filmed the pickup scene, and of course Reddit was like, oh, it's a woman and it's someone who's at the BAFTAs. So of course all these people are like whatever the leaker was, that's what he said. And if people are like, oh my God, Billy Piper, and they're like, oh no, that's bullshit. Who else is at the BAFTAs? So it's this whole list of like women who are at the BAFTAs who could have been who it was. And I'll admit, like, I didn't actually expect to see, again, spoiler, Billy Piper be the person that the Doctor regenerates into.
Right.
But yeah, that's apparently what it was.
So like, there's not a lot to say about that just because we literally got nothing with her aside from a line. But like, okay, sure. What I love is they're just acknowledging that this show is very unserious and let's just have fun.
It does feel a bit like, and then the Doctor regenerates into David Tennant. Like, it kind of feels like that. One thing I will say, I actually noticed, this is not an internet thing. When I was watching the show, when that happened, and then the credits run, and it said, Ncuti Gatwa is the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker is the Doctor, and Billie Piper. And clearly, like, her credit was listed with them, but it didn't say as the Doctor, which is like
introducing,
right, because that's and that's what they've done.
That has, and what, especially with these last 2 seasons, and knowing how tight RTD and Stephen Moffat are, like, they did that on purpose.
Right.
They're giggling in their fucking flat, drinking champagne.
Like, they don't even know what they're doing, but they're doing something.
But they love it. Yeah.
It is the kind of thing where I don't know what the show is doing. I don't care. I'll watch it. Like, I like it. Of course. Right? It's fun.
Yeah, of course.
And I will say, Doctor Who. You know, for anyone that says, like, ooh, the new Doctor's garbage, like, no, it's not. I will say, I think we talked about it, like, you know, they did the episode with Jinx Monsoon. I think that episode is, again, I would actually put that on my list of top X Doctor Who episodes.
Sure. Like, I love that episode.
That shit slapped. And they've also done other ones, right? Like, some really good stuff of... Like, this is what I would recommend to people if you just want to, like, see a splash of all Doctors.
Right. I think the only thing that made me a little, not upset, I'm not upset, but, like, that kind of made me go, oh, with the reveal of the new Doctor, after being surprised with the regeneration itself.
If it is the new Doctor.
Is like, okay, she's the Doctor, you know, you can write it off with, like, oh, it's, you know, I'm using the faces that are important in my memory or whatever. Like the same sort of argument that they used for when they regenerated into Peter Capaldi. It's like, oh, it's Billie Piper. Like, she's kind of a big deal now, more than she was back then. Like, so, okay, I have no problem. I'm excited to see her as the Doctor, if she is the Doctor, as you say. But, like, no more than 1 season, right?
Oh,
like she's not going to go.
Actually imagine a season is this again. This feels like specials.
It'll be like the David Tennant thing with the 3 episodes, and then
I mean that would be my guess.
Yeah,
because it does feel like this is going to be a gimmick, right? It's going to be 1 or 2 episodes where the Doctor's like, oh shit, man, I'm having a life moment, you know, which is fine, right? Like, at this point, it's a very silly show, but they, you know, it's about the stories they want to tell.
Right. I was secretly hoping, I guess this is more in hindsight, I wasn't hoping for this. I was flabbergasted by the fact they were generating it all. But, like, in hindsight, I'm like, I would have loved for Ncuti to regenerate into the fugitive Doctor and give her at least a season that she deserves. That's
actually, I'll admit, when I saw the bullshit internet stuff, like, oh, someone with the BAFTAs or whatever, I was like, but the idea that they said the Doctor is regenerating into a woman, I actually sort of thought that's what they were going to do.
Yeah, because she appeared obviously in the season as well.
So I would have been like, yeah, okay, let's see that. Like, sure, here for it.
It was a wild run, man. Very novel to Doctor Who. I don't know if it. I don't want to say save the show. I don't think the show was in danger, but I don't know if it broadened the appeal of the show that they were hoping it would with the Disney collaboration. But I'm glad we got this opportunity and got some really good Doctor Who out of it. So thank you, Ncuti, for being a good Doctor. I wish we got more of you.
I do hope that he comes back and does something, right? Like, I hope he is, you know, what I'll say is, I hope he doesn't take as long as Christopher Eccleston did.
Yeah.
Because he spent almost 20 years, 15 to 20 years not being into it.
Avoiding it, yeah. With regard to that, it seems like Ncuti is leaving in much better terms than Eccleston did. He doesn't seem to be upset with the show, at least, especially with the behind the scenes stuff where everybody's kind of saying goodbye and everybody seemed to be smiles and stuff. Of course, cameras are on, so who knows? But
that's a fair point. Cameras are on. Who knows?
Right, but it's also, you seem like it was planned, and the thing when the regeneration started happening, I'm like, of course. Like, Ncuti is a star on the rise after 5 seasons of Sex Education. There's part of me is like, why couldn't you stay for 5 seasons of Doctor Who? But like, he's between that and this, he did Barbie, and he's had so many other opportunities. Like, I'm sure he's getting infinite amount of offers. Like, we can't begrudge him for, especially being so young, to want to keep moving forward. But like you said, I would love to. I hope he comes back. I hope he does spin-off shit, because more of his Doctor would only be a good thing. There's other stuff we could talk about. Maybe we'll come back to it later. I really liked this, like, there's just the premise for this season of like, oh shit, we gotta get this person back home. That seemed like I thought that was going to be the most novel thing of this season, but turned out not to be so. I liked Belinda. I thought she was fun. But
Belle, not Mel.
Yeah, you're right. And but the finale definitely kind of overshadowed everything. So I think our verdict, if you don't mind me speaking for you, still good.
Yeah.
Doctor Who, still good.
Good time.
So if you, dear listeners, have any thoughts about the topics we discussed this week, feel free to leave your thoughts as comments on the page for this episode at forallintents.net.
You can also post your comments or engage in conversations with other listeners on our Facebook page.
You can find us on other social media as well, specifically the places that Andrew and I frequent, which means you can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. At both places, you can find me at dbethel. At dbethel Comics. I should know my own handle. And you can find Andrew on Mastodon at profounddark@dice.camp.
While you're at our website at forallintents.net, you can also take a look at our YouTube page, which you can find by clicking on the link in the corner that says YouTube. There you'll find this show simulcast in YouTube. If you do listen to the show on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and as the kids like to say, ring that bell.
We use 2 tracks of music for our show. One is called Disco Medusi, the other is called District 4. They're both written and performed by Kevin MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod, immortal swordsman, graph paper enthusiast, and musician extraordinaire.
You can find his music and more at incompetech.filmmusic.io, and that's all licensed under the Creative Commons 4.0 Attribution License.
If you like the show and like to help us out, the best way to do so would be to subscribe to the show using whichever podcasting service you happen to use. What would help us out even more, though, would be to leave some sort of review, whether a text review or using their proprietary metric will spread the word to new potential listeners through the magic of algorithms. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we've already been talking a lot today, but Andrew, I've entered a new level of nerdity that I don't know if I'm proud of it. Because I'm getting old, my sort of setup that I use when I'm coloring on the computer using Photoshop and my Wacom tablet, I still want to call it Wacom because it sounds right. Because when I say I'm like, hey, I'm at my computer using my Wacom, it just sounds like I'm doing something inappropriate.
Yeah, you are.
But because the tablet is big and my keyboard there's not enough room on my desk to have it to the side, because I use the keyboard shortcuts to do a lot of the stuff. Like, it was above my Wacom tablet, and so I was sitting crooked, and I started noticing like my shoulder was getting tingly. I'm like, this sounds like nerve damage. And so I'm like, is there a peripheral out there that I can get so I can actually have things more aligned? And then I realized all I wanted was like the left side of a keyboard. That's all I needed to just be set to sit next to my tablet. And I found the solution. And with a weekend, it is an incredible solution. I found a keyboard that actually is in 2 parts. You can stick it together so it's a normal keyboard, but then you can break it apart, and it just breaks in half. And so I can just put the half I don't use to the side, put the half I do use next to my Wacom, and everything is hunky-dory. But it is, as a guy that is a self-professed nerd, it is probably one of the nerdiest things I fucking own, because it forced me to enter the world of mechanical keyboards, a world which I never thought I'd have to interact with, and one for which I was not prepared. When I went to buy it, it asked a question that I just could not process through my brain. Do you want red switches or brown switches? I'm like, what? And then I went down an internet rabbit hole that I'm like, I don't know if I want to be a part of this. Anyway, it's a big... It's a big clickety-clackety keyboard. It's so loud. As a guy coming from those flat Mac keyboards. But man, it is solving a lot of problems, and it's pretty great. So I've dipped my toe into this side of nerdity, and I am equally upset but happy that I've done it. The best thing is it's saving my poor old spine and nerves. So are you ashamed of me for getting a super nerdy keyboard, Andrew?
No, of course not.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know, honestly. So what should I get next? Is what I'm thinking. Should I get a Linux computer? Is that what I need?
I mean, no, we're not going to talk about this because I've been trying to get you to play games on your computer for a while.
That's true. And Linux would not help there.
No, it wouldn't.
So until you indulge in stupid, unnecessary, nerdy stuff, dear listeners, I'm D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And for all intents and purposes,
that was a podcast.
Did we talk about this last time? Who was I talking about? It must have been with you. Who else do I talk to?
Buddy attack, buddy strike, buddy attack, it's gay all night.
All night? That sounds exhausting.
It's Pride Month, and we're here to say, you are super duper gay.
I love you, buddy.
I love you too.
Speaking of getting tingled, are we talking about Dr. Who today?
Yeah, I just want to make a little joke about Ruben Blades.
If you want, man, it's your fucking podcast.
It's your pod. It's our podcast.
Hey, just want to let everybody know it's 9/11 right now.
Oh, it's like what? No, that's in September, dude.
No, it happens twice a day. I hate to tell you.
Keyboard blades.
Topic.
Dottore Quien?
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. I like it when we have a episode title before we actually record. Okay.
I don't know why I'm making grunting sounds. I'm sorry.